Well folks, welcome to another video, and it's an exciting day here at the Double Dabble Small Holding. It's new tent day, and who doesn't love new tent day? What I've got here is the Machu Picchu large. It's a sort of base tent. It's armour green, as you can see, and it's an airframe tent, and it's the first airframe tent I've ever owned, ever put up, ever had any dealings with at all. So it's a first for me, and hopefully it'll be of interest to you guys. It's an absolute beast of a tent. This thing here weighs, well, the packaging notes said 60 kilograms, so you can save 55 kilograms once it's out, but everything is in this bag, the pump, everything. I haven't had it out of the bag. It was only delivered yesterday, and we are intending to sleep in it tonight. So I thought it'd be interesting just to film it, time it, and see how it all goes. So we'll cut to a video of me actually unpacking the bag, and we'll see what's in there, and then we'll start putting this baby up. Catch you later. So here we go, guys. Time to open her up and see what's in there. It's one of these top loading bags, which makes it a hell of a lot easier to pack away when you've done. In here is supposed to be the tent, a rain fly, a pump. So let's see what we've got, shall we, guys? First, let's get the bag away. There is a repair kit in there as well, and as yet I can't see any instructions, so we'll get the bag out of the way. They're decent straps holding it all together, I must say. Let's start unrolling it, see what's in there. Oh, pegs. They're quite substantial pegs, them. They're not going to bend easily. I might swap them out for some more heavy duty ones, but we shall see. We'll stick with them for now. There's the pump. When I ordered this, I bought it at the NEC outdoor show, and the offer was that you got a free electric pump when you bought it. Unfortunately, they're out of stock of the electric pumps at the moment, so that's to follow. But that looks quite a substantial pump. Hopefully it won't take long to pump it up with that. I'll move that to one side. Just had a thought, is there any instructions inside the peg bag? I'll chip this out into the actual big bag and make sure there's none in there. No, no instructions in the peg bag. So I'm guessing it's going to fumble its way through, guys. So what I'll do is I'll move it to the area where it's actually going to be erected, and we'll see how she pegs out and goes up. So here we are, guys. All I've done is I've moved her to where she's going to be, and I've rolled her out. I am reusing an old ground sheet from the bell tent that this is replacing. That's a bell tent that I bought last summer, a big 6-metre one, and through circumstances I've probably covered in an earlier video, she got left up over winter, partly due to time, partly due to the fact that I did actually want to camp in her in the snow and use my new stove. But suffice it to say, the first time there was a heavy frost and snow, she just gave way. The material just went brittle and ripped, and the tent was absolutely wrecked after just 2 nights sleeping in it. So this is a replacement. You can see the old tent behind me where I've not had a chance to get rid of it yet. But this is the ground sheet from that tent, and we're going to see if we can make use of it under this one. It is a very heavy duty ground sheet on this. You wouldn't strictly need one, but I always like to put a ground sheet underneath. So let's get her open up and see what she looks like. I have seen one of these tents erected at the NEC, and had a good rummage round inside it, and it sent to me everything we needed. But we shall let you know. And she is a heavy beast to move around on your own, and I am putting this tent up on my own. My other half is up at the land, but she's looking after the sheep. It's lambing time, and we've got some newborn lambs just into the field to my side, and we've got a poorly sheep down in one of the stables that we're actually waiting for the vet to come and have a look at. Such is life with this, with a small holding. And wouldn't you know it, I've got it 360 or 180 degrees out. So let's see if I can get this baby turned around. I thought I was doing well to get it the right way around first time, but hey ho. Something we've all done when camping, I'm sure. I know I do it regularly, especially with a new tent when you don't know what's where. That wasn't too bad. Oh, it actually comes with loads of different windows and things, which I'll talk you through shortly. So there we go. So still no signs of instructions. But as people know, as male of the species, we're not one for reading the instructions anyway, so that's no biggie. There's the inflation valve I can see, and I'm assuming that screws into there, the one-way valve. Right then folks, time to pump this baby up and see what happens. And like an idiot, I forgot to actually start the timer. But it's now 1:05, and we'll see how quickly this takes the pump up. There's no signs of anything happening yet. I really wish they'd have sent that electric pump with it. This is quite tiring. A little breather. We're at 3 minutes at the moment. Now they do say every now and then you just have to give them a little bit of a helping hand to get some sort of shape. So I'll try doing that. I'll put a photo up, but there is a gauge on the actual pump to tell you when you're at the correct pressure. And there is a safety valve on the inside of this tent that, should you overpressure it, it will release that excess air and not just blow the actual air beams. So as you can see, if you just help it a little bit, get its shape, it will make it easier to pump up. If we do this, and do this, pop that through. Told you she was a big tent. So folks, we're currently at about 6-7 minutes, so not too bad really. First impressions, I would say it's easier than a frame tent with a traditional metal frame of the same sort of size. Now we're starting to see some pressure appear. The pump is getting quite firm to pump. And we're about 3/4 of the way to the gauge. So we'll just help her a little again at this back end. So far so good folks. Just realised I am out of shot to you guys now, but certainly get your cardio up doing this. We're just on the edge of the recommended zone now. And since it's forecast to drop cold tonight, we'll make sure it's more middle to top end of that zone. Alright, there we go. She's actually blown up. I'll move the camera around this side so you can see the connections again. Right then guys, so there you can see the connections, and you get the pleasure of watching me disconnect it and hopefully it won't all just, oh, quick puff of air and it's stayed. And then you've just got tiny little screw on cap to seal it off. Easy as that. And then you've got a little cover that covers the whole thing up to stop it getting dirty. And the pump itself, that's that gauge I was telling you about, where it's all pre-marked into the green. The pump is branded for the tent, so one would naturally assume that that gauge is calibrated to work with this tent. And there we have her. Actually blowing it up took 10 minutes. All in all, from getting it out of the bag to it being ready to peg out, I would suggest, once you're used to it, it's a 20-minute job. It's definitely a two-person job moving the actual bag and tent round, unless you're a big strapping fella who don't mind lifting 50-60 kilograms around on their own. But there she is, the Machu Pichu Large. Got a very MASH vibe. So I'll get it pegged out, I'll move the furniture in, and then I'll give you the old guided tour, and you guys can tell me in the comments what you think. Right then guys, just a little hint. I've found something out as I've been putting it up for the first time. At every pegging point there are actually two places to peg, one for the inner bathtub floor and one for the outer skirt. You need to get the tension correct on the inner bathtub floor before you go around and do the skirt ones. I just saw the outer ones first, pegged the outer ones, and I've had to go and take them all out and start again. Just a little tip for anybody who's considering buying one of these tents. Good morning guys. It's the morning after we camped rather than the day before, when I promised you I was going to do this walk around. I did record a walk around yesterday, but when I reviewed it last night just to see whether it was up to standard, there was a lot of dog barking that sort of interfered with it. So we're going to have another go this morning. So just a brief overview. It went really well last night. The tent has got far more usable room than the 6-meter bell tent we had before, although you wouldn't think it when you compare the size of the two tents side by side. The shape of the bell tents makes everything bar the center section really unusable, and the position of the actual wood stove chimney outlet made it quite difficult to actually use the wood stove I wanted to use in there. So hopefully this tent is an improvement. I wouldn't say it's a vast improvement, but it's a definite improvement over the 6mm bell tent that we lost over winter, shall we say. So without further ado, I'll talk you through the tent, and I'll just I'll go handheld so as I can walk you around it and point certain bits out to you. So over to me. So here we are guys, time for the walk around. As you can see, it's got a central door that's got a waterproof outer and a mesh that drops down and zips into place. That isn't actually the front we're going to have. The old model of this didn't have the mesh in the front two windows, it had PVC. And because of dogs, we found that dogs and mesh don't mix, and you end up with the mesh actually ripped. So to follow with the pump is one of the old fronts that the Hobie Bear have chucked in free of charge, and we're going to swap that out for the mesh one. So coming around the side, you'll see that each side has two windows. What I've got in situ in this one is I've got the PVC. The mesh is still in there. The PVC will zip out, the mesh will zip and roll up, and the outer waterproof cover like there will zip down or be zipped up like that and rolled up. Also on the roof on each side you have these two skylight vents, and last night we did lay in bed looking at the stars through those, and they've got internal blinds which you'll see when we go inside. I'll just show you the other side and you'll see it's exactly the same. In terms of gang points, there's 3 gang points on each side, and it wasn't windy last night but the tent seems quite firm, so you can see exactly the same. Going around the back, some really good features of this tent around the back. So on the back you do have a mesh vent panel, and that has got a ceiling flap both on the inside and the outside. So if you roll it up on the outside and go to sleep with the mesh open and you get chilly in the night, you can actually close it on the inside without ever having to get out of bed. And also there's the standard vent type thing that you get on tents with the 2 plastic stays to hold it out. I will say last night, even though there was no wind, we could feel a noticeable breeze coming through there, so it does do its job quite well. But this is one of the features that sold me on this tent. Here you have 3 baffled inlets. I've got my diesel heater set up on one of those, but you can have AC in, electricity in, or heater in like I've got here, which is a really good feature. So we'll come around the front again. There's the old bell tent waiting to be disposed of as soon as the ground here is really muddy. We've had rain for over a month, and I don't risk bringing the car up because it just trashes the fields. So the way I've got it set up, it does have a chimney vent there already built in, and I had to do the horrible thing that I always hate doing of cutting into that yesterday. I always think I'm going to get it wrong. And connected to that, if I just zoom out a little, is my Winterwell Nomad Large with the external air fitment on it. I will be doing a review of this stove, but I will say from my first proper use, I have used it, but my first proper use of it last night, really impressed. And that goes out, and that also has a purpose-built vent there. So that vent, if you weren't running an external air stove like me, you could take an AC hookup through there, whatever you wanted to do. In terms of inside, you have 2 hanging points on every air beam. And while we're talking about the air beams, these aren't like I've seen in other tents whereby it's a thin bladder inside of a baffle. These are made of the same stuff that they make ribs out, you know, the sea-going inflatable ribs that the army use, etc. These are made of those and are extremely tough. And should you be unfortunate enough to get a puncture, you just patch it and blow it up again. It's not where you replace a whole bladder and it's a nightmare. Literally, you can just stick a patch over it with some glue. I was even told in an emergency you can use gaffer tape, but I wouldn't trust gaffer tape. Here we have a central dividing panel. This has got mesh windows on either side, which have got actual curtains that roll up on the inside. That whole panel is removable. So if you wanted one big open space, that's removable, and you can just have an entire little big living area. So we've got it at the moment where it's separate because of the dogs. Moving into the bedroom area, we've actually got a single cot bed set up for the dogs, a double bed set up for us, and a dog cage set up there for one of the other dogs. There's a long story around our dogs. They're all rescues, and unfortunately our latest rescue just doesn't seem to get on with our Labrador. Over in the corner here you can see the 3 inlets for those vents I showed you around the back that are baffled, and you can see the blown hot air from my diesel heater coming in there, and the power pack that powers the diesel heater is stored there as well. In terms of storage, you get a pocket, a pocket, a pocket, and a pocket, and these are the skylights I was telling you about, and they do have the internal curtain where you can just zip them up. And I will say, when they're zipped up, it is very, very dark in here, so there'll be no trouble sleeping in here in summer. And in terms of hanging points, you do get the same in here, where you've got them dotted all along the air beam. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot else I can say about this tent, except on first impressions I'm extremely pleased with it. So what we'll do is we'll go back outside. I'll set up the camera. Oh, just one other thing. If you did want to, this entire front panel of the tent can be zipped out as well, and you can just use this as a large porch area. These flaps come with guy lines, so you can actually guy them out at a shedding angle and have the vent whereby if it's raining you're still getting ventilation without water getting in. So all of the guys and pegs are supplied to do that in the kit. And also it comes with what they call their extreme weather cover, and basically you can't have the stove because I haven't opened it, but I don't believe it's got a chimney outlet, so you would have to not use the stove. But it's a complete extra rain fly that goes all the way over the top and down either side, which it would have to be extremely bad weather for you'd need that, I believe. So I'll set this back up on the tripod and we'll have a talk. So what's my thoughts on this tent? It's not a cheap tent. It was in the region of £1,000 on a show offer at the NEC, and I have bought it with my own money. It's not me reviewing something that somebody sent me. I'm nowhere near big enough a channel for people to be sending me free stuff. I'm pleased. It's a lot of money. It's more than I would have paid for a 6-metre bell tent if I wanted to replace my old 6-metre bell tent with a new 6-metre bell tent. But I like the colour. It doesn't stand out as much on our land. So should I decide to leave it up for a few weeks during the summer and pop in and out camping in it every now and then, it's less conspicuous. Sat in it last night, it dropped to about 2 degrees C last night. It was decidedly cold outside. You really knew it, big coat on when you came outside. But with that stove going, not even on full bore, I did try it on full bore and it was far, far, far too warm and was getting through wood like you wouldn't believe. But even with that stove throttled back to below half, we were pleasantly warm in there where you could just sit in a t-shirt. So in terms of heat retention, it's okay. Once the stove had gone out in the night, it did get a little cold, and that vent through the back, because of the position we've got our bed in, it was blowing directly onto us heads, which made it a little chilly. But once I stoked the fire back up, we were fine. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot else I can say about it, not having had it out in any rain or any strong wind. On a reserved judgment on every tent until it's encountered rain and strong wind. But in terms of a livable space, should you be wanting to go either car camping, truck camping or whatever and be setting up for a period of time, yeah, I can't fault it. I really can't. I think with practice I could easily set it up single-handed within 30 minutes. So that's just setting the tent up. That's not moving all the furniture in. So I think I could get it full camp ready in an hour to an hour and a half, which isn't bad if you're going to be staying there for a week. So yeah, I can recommend it. Hope some of you guys out there have found this useful, and I'd appreciate it if you'd drop a comment and tell me what you think of this style of tent, because it seems to be Marmite. Everybody loved the bell tent, and I think it was the whole glamping thing where people looked at a bell tent, thought of glamping, and thought, great. And they look at this and they think, army tent, what's he playing at? So yeah, drop a comment and tell me what you would prefer, either this or the bell tent. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on another video. And like I say, I hope this has been of some use to you. And remember, keep on dabbling.